this wonderful power. The recording has now started. Yes, we are here for this wonderful power metro revival, again, where we become to be refreshed and renewed. Everybody's looking good and fantastic. Again, as you enter the room, put your name in the chat with your county and the congregation that you're associated with, if you are associated with one. And if you're not, that's okay as well. Also, make sure that your name is in in the Zoom where we can see you and where we can also reach out to you. It is wonderful that you are here today. Welcome to this amazing, amazing space. I want you to look at all these beautiful faces that are here, that I'm looking at beautiful faces on the screen. They are smiling, they are excited, and I am excited with them. And I hope you are all excited with us for the powerful things that we are getting ready to do. Oh, yes, 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 revival. Revival in my time, where I'm from, revival used to last a whole week, but that's not gonna happen here. It's not going to happen here. It's just going to be for this time in this space that we are gathered. But revival for me is fire, right? Is that fire. We used to call it like a Holy Ghost fire. That's why I got this red, because we are ready to rock today. We are ready to rock today in this house and in the spaces that we are. So welcome everybody in this space. So glad to see you, so glad to see you. As we gather ourselves and as we have danced into the room, I want you to get yourself centered for a few minutes. If you still want to dance, go ahead on the dance. Go ahead on the, if you still got to get it out, get it out. There will be some more dances coming, but go ahead if you got to get it out. And again, make sure you put your name in the chat, your county, your congregation, if you have one, and make sure that your names appear where we are able to see them so we can capture everyone that is here today, everyone that is here. As we come into this space and you centered yourself with your feet steady on the ground, with your feet steady and in place, just want to lift up a short invocation. As we get everybody to come in, we give people a few more minutes to come in. Get centered and take a deep breath. And then let it out with a smile. And so as we lift up this invocation, as we settle into this time with each other, we give thanks for the space that is available for us today. In the air that we breathe out a welcoming spirit to this beloved community who will become harvest for the world. Our hearts and minds are open to receive all that has been planned for us today. So in the name of all the faiths that are represented with us today, we say amen, amen, and ashe. The agenda that we have set for you tonight, we'll talk about the past, where we have come from, talk about the present, where we are and what we are doing, talk about talk about the future and where we are going. You will see familiar faces in this place that you have not seen in a while. If we're able to hug each other, we would and hold on tight. But since we can't do that, we just blow kisses to everyone that we see in this place. So as we begin, we will actually get ready for an overview of how we got here. A history of the initial organizing and the founding convention, and that will come from Liz and Reverend Dwayne. But before they come, I gotta say it again, put your name in the chat your county, congregation you're affiliated with, if you're affiliated with one. And also make sure that your names appear where we can see them on the screen. We're having fun, guys. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Power Metro Revival. Liz and Reverend Dwayne, take it away. It's on you.
All right. Thank you. And amen to everything you said. I'm very excited to be here today. And Liz asked me to give the very beginning portions of how we began. And for me, it was very exciting that that my congregation, Ascension UCC, was part of the founding convention, and we had a good number of people there, and there was excitement. But there was a lot that began before that time. And my encounter with what became Power Metro began in a conversation with a colleague who later called me up and said, would you be interested in being in a conversation with some other colleagues who are interested in doing social justice work and the issue of doing things to bring about God's justice. And I said I was, and he gathered together a small group of people from different faith traditions, and we started talking, and we started sharing, and decided, well, we need to do this again. And so then we met again, and ended up becoming a very regular thing, and a lot of people talking. And that seems like a very small thing, but that was actually a big thing, was making those connections, beginning to see people, beginning to know people that were outside of my tradition, that were sharing common beliefs about what needed to be done in our world, and that things needed to be changed. As a pastor, I began to realize, like, as a small congregation, we cannot do everything by ourselves. We're better off working together with other people, and the congregation seemed to be supportive of that. But I think it was true with the other colleagues that they believed the same thing. And then we started trying to figure out, how do we do this? And one of the big connection was connecting what was then PICO, and connecting us with what was going on in Power Philadelphia. And I already knew Dwayne Royster, but getting to know him better and spending time driving in cars to go talk to people about what Power was doing and the issues, and building those relationships. And I think that was what made us realize that this was something that was good, that we were sharing this information, we were working together, and we were sharing the burden of the work. Really wasn't a burden, because it's exciting, it's wonderful to go do things and feel like you're making a difference in the world. And I'll turn it over to Liz.
Thanks, Dwayne. When I was 16, I had a Sunday school teacher named Lee Bardsley, who taught us from a curriculum that was provided, but was also used a book called Values Clarification, which had exercises that helped us discern what we felt in our guts and why, and the why behind those feelings. He would then lead us to understand that these were values for which we were called to strive, and our call to help change the world around us because of who we were as believers. Between Lee and my activist mom, I was steeped in the belief that my faith called me to act for good in the world. That belief, though, lay dormant for a time, but was activated largely through the inception of Power and the founding of Power Metro. Krista, if you put up the next slide, I hope this picture is up. I want you to look at my face. This is at an early 2015 meeting that's 7 years ago, prior to the founding convention of Power Metro. And that joy that you see on my face is that fire being lit in me again. The connection between faith and action was reaffirmed, and the work began. Next slide, please. Over the following months, new congregations were challenged to turn out as many folks in our orbit as possible to the convention. Can I get a thumbs up from folks next to their pictures of who was gathered at the founding convention? If you were at the founding convention, You give us a thumbs up, raise your hands, put it in the chat. Founding congregations were also charged to engage in one-on-ones to help people discern the issues that were most important to them and their communities, and to gain the skills to talk about those issues and why we were working for change. Since the founding convention, in small and large actions seen on these pictures here, people in my orbit have worked for voter turnout and registration, met with legislators, rallied in Harrisburg for fair funding for education, educated the public about climate issues, as well as pressing energy companies to act justly. Power Metro is committed to the work to create a just world on a livable planet for all God's children. The call from our Creator is clear. The need is sometimes overwhelming, but when the fire is lit and our siblings surround us, the pathway to that vision becomes clear.
Thank you, Liz and Reverend Dwayne. We thank you for the overview that you've given us. We thank you for actually setting the stage for us to go forward. Commonality, values. Our faith calls us to do what is right and what is just, and being with like-minded people who are doing the same exact thing. That is great. So now we have a slideshow, y'all. And the slideshow will show the photos from the last 6 years. So are we ready? All right.
Krista, we don't have sound.
Sound is coming.
This is like church this morning. Always a worry.
Thought I had it all set up.
It's okay, sound is coming.
It is, it is.
It's almost like that hush, right? Before, there you go, before that. All right. That's beautiful. Did you guys see yourselves?
Woohoo.
That's nice. That's
Yes.
nice. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Next up, we have Bucks update. Now, since I'm learning about Pennsylvania, guys, I had to kind of get some fun facts. Yes, what we've been up to. So here we go. Bucks is going to give us what we've been up to. But before they come, fun fact, Bucks, along with, is founded in 1682 by William Penn, is one of the 3 original founding counties, home to 12 remaining covered bridges. And the movie Signs was directed by M. Night Shyamalan in Bucks County, y'all. Yes. So now we have up Pat and Melody and all of those who are from Bucks. Can you give us a thumbs up? And if you've been with the founding members as well, also give us a thumb up. Great. All right, Pat and Melody, take it away.
I want you to know that I'm sitting on an original of William Penn Grant piece of land in Bucks County. When Power Metro began, Bucks was there. Then in late 2018, Bucks may have been the first to peel off and begin to organize separately. Next slide. A faith leaders caucus gave leadership to getting Power Bucks underway. In the ensuing 3 years, 2 campaign teams have been vigorously active, and the Faith Leaders Caucus has continued to be sustaining for its members. Power Bucks now has a steering committee, and we are working with the process of becoming a formal chapter of Power. Next slide. In 2020, our civic engagement team focused on the election and on the census. They made regular contacts with Bucks County commissioners and the Board of Elections, providing census data to support Dropbox expansion. Their work helped to make voting more accessible by increasing the number of drop boxes from 3 to 11. Next slide. In 2021 and so far in 22, the emphasis has been on redistricting and on the proposed HB 38, which would have changed the way judges are elected. Due to their work, along with many others across the state, a vote to put HB 38 on the ballot as a constitutional amendment has been put off. As we move farther into 2022, the civic engagement team will once again be giving attention to voter access and voter turnout. Next slide. The education justice team has been focused on Harrisburg. We have visited with 3 of the 4 state senators representing Bucks and 8 of 10 representatives. They know who we are and what we stand for. This past fall, we joined in support of the Way Overdue Wednesday campaign to call attention to the funding lawsuit in Commonwealth Court. We were there in November for the statewide vigil. And we had a vigil in our county seat of Doylestown, which was picked up by 3 local papers. And we joined with Metro for a vigil in Harrisburg on a Wednesday in December, where we introduced our theme, Apple for the Teacher, fair funding is better. Next slide. Next month, we will continue that theme with a presentation at the Bristol Borough School Board meeting, where we will present apples in honor of the elementary school teachers, along with gift cards so that they can buy classroom supplies as a down payment on overdue state funding. Melody.
Thanks, Pat. I have been involved with Power Bucks, introduced by my rabbi, Anna Boswell Levy, when Power came to Bucks County and started to organize there. What draws me through my faith is tikkun olam, which is repair of the world in Hebrew. What drew me to power was and still is the idea of joining together with a diverse group of people to make our community more equitable and just, and working to dismantle the systemic racism and all the other isms baked into our system. As a member of the Bucks County Education Equity Campaign, I work with a wonderful and dedicated team planning events and strategizing how to make full and fair funding in PA a reality. 2 events were particularly memorable for me, which Pat touched on. It was very powerful to me being in Harrisburg in November with so many people who cared about equity and education in the state, hearing speakers' personal stories, hearing from some legislators, chanting, singing, marching around the Capitol, following Bishop Royster was as close as I'll get to following Moses, I think. And that was a very powerful experience. Then organizing and attending our own action in Harrisburg, along with the other folks from Metro in December, built on that feeling. It was intentionally a smaller gathering than the one in November, but we were a mighty group. We came that day and gave our own testimony from our own hearts about what called us to this issue and calls us to this work. That day, I also did something I never thought I would have the courage to do, and that was meet with legislators and their aides. I was very, very anxious walking into the Capitol that day. And we got there a little bit early, got to take a tour, and it is quite an impressive building if you haven't been there. And on the tour, got to see the Pennsylvania where the Supreme Court meets, the House chambers, the Senate chambers, and a switch flipped at that point in time for me. And I realized this is my house and those people work for me. And that really helped me to gain my voice. It was very empowering, and I think I gained my power. And after that is when I went and spoke with 3 legislators and aides. And while they're pretty good at diverting the conversation, I think I did a pretty good job of trying to keep them, at least I wasn't nervous, trying to keep them back on task and making them stick to the subject at hand. So this isn't the last they'll be hearing from me, and it was very empowering. What was so energizing and powerful of all these experiences, because what drew me to power, I was seeing in action, the power of people, the power of interfaith work, the power of folks from different religions, races, communities coming together for a common goal. I joined Power to partner with others to build a more just and equitable community, a beloved community, in the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. While working at that, I have learned so much, met great people dedicated to this work, grown so much personally through the work, and hope to grow our little P Power and the influence of Power Bucks Interfaith and Power Interfaith statewide. If you haven't already, come and join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Melody. Revival is also about testimonies, right? And so we thank you for that wonderful testimony. What I heard, power, help you, help your voice, and your voice gain to even speak more power to truth. I like that. I like that. So that's great. Now we have up Chester, a Chester update. Chester is another one of those original 3 counties that William Penn found in 1682. And it also actually has 6 county parks. So we have now John and Jennifer, who's going to talk to us about Chester.
Thank you, Reverend Jackie. I'm here from Chester County. Here's the update. So Chester County has been actively focused on really a single campaign lately, and that is the Power Interfaith Education Justice Campaign. So our inner leadership circle consists of I think 6 leaders at this point. Jody's from Valley Forge UCC, a Power congregation. Mark is from Gladwin Presbyterian, Gay from Wayne Baptist, and Sue from Downingtown Friends. I believe all Power congregations. And I'm from Beth Israel congregation of Chester County, but we're larger and more diverse than even this group of 6 leaders. For example, we became very happily friends with Reverend Rochelle from both St. Paul Baptist Church in Westchester. She's also an officer in the Westchester chapter of the NAACP. Oh yes, and you can advance the slide, sorry. Westchester chapter of the NAACP. And you can go to the next slide, please. So let's see, I met Reverend Johnson from Westchester Second Presbyterian. She's joined us for our recent vigil. We consider Reverend Kyle Boyer from the Coatesville Tabernacle Baptist to be really one of us in our Power Chester County group. So the circle grows wider, the boundaries get a little bit more transparent. For instance, the group that was originally formed in a Friends Society called the Way Forward we've integrated with them pretty much. A local group in Phoenixville called the Diversity and Inclusion Group. Our local Chester County Interfaith Action Community. Each of these groups and more in Chester County are our allies to Power Interfaith. And really, you know that we're integrated because often when you enter a meeting, somebody would say something like, well, Power is in the room. So we're noticed. So we joined the Pottstown-based Pennsylvanians for Fair Funding group, and you can go to the next slide, to organize a turnout for one of Power's 4 simultaneous rallies on June 1st, 2021. This is something I want to bring to your attention because we're very proud of our work on that particular rally. And some of us really learned how to do turnout for a rally when we did that. That particular rally resulted in ongoing work that we're currently involved in to get a hearing for Chester for full and fair funding in the Senate Education Committee. Professor Hannah Ashley brought Mark and I into the Ruby Jones conference this year as workshop leaders. We worked with other Power folk to create a centerpiece prop at that June 21st rally that I'll never forget. It was a big past due notice. It was about 8 feet high and 10 feet wide, and it was directed right at one senator. We wanted to make sure he realized his that money to the Pottstown School District has been past due for many years, and he's responsible. Anyway, he got agitated enough that a meeting took place with various folks from Pottstown, and he made a call for a hearing for fair funding in the Senate Education Committee. So we're still on that one. We've joined with other Power regional groups several times in Harrisburg. And one effort that I'll end with is we learned how to do a vigil. We held vigils for, I think, 9 weeks straight, each Thursday evening during rush hour until it got too dark and too cold. And we used the theme of the school funding lawsuit to bring attention to the school funding campaign that we're on. This helped us build allies that we're still keeping engaged throughout the trial, which we expect to close down pretty soon. So that's it from Chester County. Thank you.
Okay, so for my testimony, my name is Jennifer Mudd. I live in Phoenixville. I worship at United Church of Christ Valley Forge, and our congregation has been a member of Power for, I think, about 3 years. And I've been thinking about what Power means to me and why I continue to do the work. And as I've been thinking, one phrase has kept coming up for me, and that's foundation for transformation. So Power has really served as my foundation, and I think the foundation for our church, for the transformation needed to respond to God's call for us to pursue racial and economic justice for all, and the transformation needed to stretch beyond our comfortable places and cross into the threshold into what's sometimes pretty messy and inconvenient and frustrating work. So I remember my first power action. It was actually my first social justice action ever. It was the 2018 bus trip to Harrisburg to rally for fair funding for education. And I had so many wow moments that day, like, wow, look at all these people from all these different faith communities that have come and are waiting for the buses. Like, wow, I do not have to do this alone. Wow, now we're in the Capitol Rotunda and I'm listening to students give testimonies and I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding me. How can so many schools in Black and brown communities across the state be allowed to operate with such minimal financial support, with such negative ramifications? And then there was like the wow moment of there's this amazingly energetic clergyman leading us in chants up the stairs to the governor's office where we were singing and praying right in front of his door. And then just also the realization that I could walk into my representative's office, tell the staff while I was there, and ask how they were planning to address the issue. So the day really laid a foundation for the start of a personal and church-wide transformation. Our members came away really energized and wanting to pull more people into the work. For me, it brought several important changes. Transformation that involved personal introspection. So confronting my own previously hidden to myself racism, learning through 6 months of one-on-one work with the amazing power staff member, Lena Glickman, what it means to be a white woman working in this space. And also just the transformation of like the commitment it takes to do the work, even when it's inconvenient and messy and requires a long-term view. So it is indeed work for the long haul. But the best antidote I have found to keep the energy from waning is for me to say yes to taking action alongside our brothers and sisters in the power community, because those yes moments are what continues, at least for me, to lay the foundation for meaningful and ongoing transformation. That's all.
Wow. Jennifer, I really want to shout right now. Can I just like put a hoo-hoo in this place right now? Jennifer just gave us a sermon, y'all, that you right, that's a reviving moment right now. Like, you know, if you got to run around the room, do so, because that was just all of that. Thank you so much. Yes, I felt it. Yes. Thank you, Jennifer. That was amazing. Yes, yes. Thank you, Chester. And I forgot to actually, all of those who are from Chester, thumbs up. Founding members, thumbs up. I'm just with you. I'm not from Chester, but I'm just joining you. Okay. All right. Thank you, John and Jennifer. Yes. Okay. Yes. There should be a passing of the basket right about now. All right. So here we go, guys. We're going to a breakout room that will be for about 10 minutes. And the breakout, you see the questions that have been posted here, and they will also, I think, also be in the chat. Do you have a story or a relationship from your involvement with Power Metro that inspires you to keep fighting for justice? What stood out to you so far about our history and our current work, and how does it make you feel? So we will go into breakout rooms and we will come back into the space again. We're still partying, we're still celebrating, we're still loving on each other, we're still telling our stories, and we are still fighting on. So yes, yes. See you guys soon.
Hi there.
Hello, hello. Let's see. Hold on. I'm going to change my view.
I'm driving, so I need to keep my camera off, but I'll pipe in as I can.
I got the breakout room with Stacy Rigler. Yes. How are y'all?
Good.
Good. All right. Tell me, so I get to moderate this room. Exciting. Tell me, Alyssa and Ginger, tell me where you're from.
Hi, everybody. I'm Elisa Belzer. I'm from a congregation in Fort Washington, Montgomery County, or Hadash. We are not a member congregation. We have an active anti-racism task force and have been dabbling with power, especially with John Barnett, helping us kind of get a little more centered. And it's very interesting to be here today. I think we've been trying to do a lot of stuff from our homes, and looking at those slides really makes me feel like you got to go out, got to leave your house. So thank you for that.
Hi, I'm Ginger Pfeiffer. My husband, Mark, is very involved in power. And I am in the Gladwin Presbyterian congregation. I live in Chester County. And I've had the opportunity to go with Mark three times to Harrisburg in June for activism. I'm a longtime teacher and continue to work part-time. And I was so interested when Liz was mentioning values clarification, which as a teacher was one of my Bibles as I started in the 70s. And my faith, as well as my work as a teacher, has always been focused on justice, diversity, inclusion in all its ways. And so as Mark's partner in life, I've really been given the opportunity to experience power through him, not as actively as I should, but I do believe in all the work, and it makes me feel hopeful.
That's awesome. Thank you. And it's Elisa, not Alyssa. Is that okay? Thank you. Stacy, hi. Do you want to say anything, ma'am?
Hi. Sure. My name is Stacy Regler. I live in Bryn Mawr, Delaware County. And I had the great privilege when I was in congregational life. I worked at Reformed Congregation Knesset Israel in Elkins Park to work on some Power Metro things and develop a deep respect and love of this woman, Ashley. And I'm so excited to hear that Or Hadash is getting in the mix. Since I left my congregational life and just sort of adjusting to pandemic life, I've changed job twice and supporting my teenage children. I have not been as involved in Power, but couldn't miss the opportunity to listen in. And I definitely know Mark, so say hello, and just excited to hear about all the powerful things happening, and have a big smile on my face right now, and appreciate your indulgence that I'm driving. So my camera's not on.
Thank you guys so much. Oh, and my dog's decided right now is the time we're gonna have a moment. So let me ask y'all, did any of those questions that they put up there sit with you? Did anything come to mind that you would want to share as a group? So sorry, they're big and loud.
If it's okay for me to jump in, I know it's awkward, I guess. But for me, what I loved about Power, it's not just because I'm in the room with Ashley, is the deep relationships, the interfaith relationships that I was able to make. Once I left our Power Montgomery group, that was harder for me, like not connected to a congregation and trying to work on the education piece, which was a different focus. And I sort of felt like I needed to take a break. But those transformative relationships, which I really had not been blessed to have those relationships based on faith. Sometimes I say in the Jewish faith, we feel our faith, but we're not great at talking about it. When I met Ashley, we had lunch together, and her and Will, we all like offered a prayer for food. And I know it's so simple, but it was like so powerful and meaningful to me. I think that was probably 5 years ago, and I have like a vivid memory of where we were sitting. And that just really resonated with me as this like unexpected blessing.
Stace, I'm gonna jump in and jump on your train because somebody was asking me, I'm transitioning job. Today was my literal last day at my church. So hard, so emotional, all those things. You know, it's like y'all know because you're part of faith communities. It is so hard. And I said one of the biggest blessings that I've had out of this transition is faith. Yes, support from people of my faith, but support as I transition roles from people of other faiths has honestly almost meant more to me. To have people who don't necessarily believe what I believe supporting and loving me through a transition has been like such a gift, and it means so much to me. And to be able to do this work together, that we care about the same things, that we have children that we love, and we want to see everyone's children have good education and, you know, quality environments to live in and safe water to drink. Like, it really brings us back to the core of loving God and loving neighbor. And this Powers work grounds me in that always. So.
Could I ask a question? Ashley, I don't know what your position is or anything, but I noticed that 3 counties spoke up about their power, chapters, and I was wondering about Montgomery County. And since I see your Monco in your name, I was wondering if you could speak to that. I don't know if that's too off track from the agenda here.
It's not. We're working on it. So Elisa, I will gladly pull you into that work. So we can talk offline, but we're working on it.
I'll drop my email address into the chat.
And Ashley, I will say, while we're off topic, there will be a new senior rabbi at KI, who's a friend of mine, and I think will be a great partner once he gets his sea legs.
Whoa, okay. I got the hot goss before it came off the press. Fantastic. Elisa and Ginger, did you, was there anything else that you wanted to, we've got a minute 28. Where did this time go? What the heck? What are we missing in these fabulous questions?
Well, I would just like to say I've had a long career at a Quaker institution, as Mark did before he retired fully. And I think there's a lot of diversity in faith communities in a Quaker school. And that has always been such a strong appeal. And I think for Mark and me on the outside, that has really been the thing that has drawn me, and I know Mark more because he's very active and I'm not. But I think that the appreciation for getting to know different peoples of different faiths, as I have through my work in schools, that's really been the thing with Power that I would say.
Ginger, you hit mute by accident.
I never noticed that, and I'm on these Zoom calls all the time. Anyway, it's just the interfaith work that draws me to, I always found classroom teacher and administrator in the more recent decade that it has really been the thing that's drawn me. And working with children in just a classroom community, for them to share their different faiths. It's part of a good education, in my opinion. So that's what's really drawn me to Power. Sorry, I don't want to take all the time.
You didn't at all. We are being called back, and I thank you all for sharing, and I look forward to seeing you shortly.
Thank you.
Recording in progress. Recording in progress.
Welcome back, everybody.
We're all back. Yes. You know, the party's going good when the talking is like coming into all other conversations, right? The talking just keeps going. You know, the party's going really, really good. Yes. Yes. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. All right. I hope you guys had wonderful conversations. I did today. So now we are at an update for mainline. So we got to ask if you can mute your, there you go. I know they wanted to be a part of the party. That's all. That's it. So now we're going to do the mainline update. Mainline, anybody from mainline, throw your thumbs up. And also if you were one of the original founding members in mainline, throw your thumbs up as well. I'm with you. Mainline, known for its physical beauty of leafy green streets, parks, and gardens. And so the update for Mainline will come from Reverend David and from Roxana. So guys, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon. Yes, we have you.
My name is Roxana Wright, and I co-chair, along with Reverend David Tagenhurst, Power Mainline. It is my pleasure to talk to you about our organization. In 2016, Power Mainline was formed after the counties of Philadelphia came together on a shared vision for social and economic justice. During this period, Power Mainline decided to center our efforts on combating racism, and the organization strongly supported efforts in 2017 to lift up the voices of those impacted by proposed cuts in healthcare. From 2018 to 2019, we decided to focus and learn about the 1619 Project, a New York Times Magazine project that taught the origins of slavery, racism, supremacism in the United States. Eventually, we decided to hold symposiums for the enlightenment of our communities. But before the symposiums were established, we listened to and studied data from student organizations such as the Cheltenham branch of the NAACP and their stories of discrimination, and their town hall video presentation. We also learned about states and their requirements for African American studies, such as the state of Delaware, as well as studies conducted by the National Museum of African American History and Culture. From our data and one-to-one conversations with community, high school faculty, and students, we held the first series of 1619 symposiums. Although the creativity of the symposiums were energetic, creative, informative, and the memberships and support of allies began to grow, our focus in our campaign was not yet clear to us. The symposiums and memberships did not inspire the African American churches and communities to participate. That was our dilemma. David, would you explain what happened during this period and our next move?
Yeah, we can have the next slide. Thank you. See that a lot of people came out to be educated around anti-racism and learning about the history that has not been taught. And we started to realize that our leadership and our organizing was a little bit top heavy in the white community, and we sort of laid down the organization and reorganized. We did a listening campaign. We decided to do a listening campaign in all our churches and congregations, but particularly we decided to focus on African-American congregations. We listened and asked, what is the need in this community? What are people seeing is needed? I mean, the ironic thing is that we kept being ahead of the curve about things that were driving our country crazy. We were studying the 1619 project before it became a lightning rod for things that people are upset about. And then when we started listening to the African-American community, they were saying, you know, what's really needed is for African-American studies to be taught in the local schools. So we started advocating for comprehensive African-American studies in all schools in Lower Merion for all children, all races, all ages, age appropriate for all schools. And that was before all the critical race theory stuff has been driving people nuts. But it came from that connections with the Black churches on the main line. Christy, you can go to the next slide. Showing a demonstration at one of the Black churches in Ardmore. Just want to say that being connected and doing a co-chair thing with Roxana Wright has been fantastic. She's dynamite, and her leadership has been really important. And seeing everybody here today is so exciting too, because everybody here represents 10 to 20 other people. And all of our congregations are so powerful together when we come together, but with all of our different connections. Organized people and organized money make a huge difference. It is very powerful. And if you can support Power individually or as a congregation, that makes a big difference. And you are able to join now as an individual. Yeah, you got in the chat now, you have the place to know how to support Power. And it's a really great thing to do. So I just think, and I think that listening to people of color in our communities is making a huge difference, and helping us be clear about where we need to go. Roxana.
Okay. We also believe in supporting our allies. Some of our allies are the Mainline NAACP, Stand Up for Lower Merion, HCAN, Neighbors Helping Neighbors, and like David said, schools and other community organizations and churches. Their power, we realize, is extremely important for the growth of a community. For instance, issues concerning one of the organization's progress is in danger, and they rely on our support, which they feel is imperative for their upward mobility. That strengthens our name and our position and commitment by others within the community. Power Mainline has had its ups and downs, but that's the beginning of growth. And growth creates confidence, and confidence creates determination, and determination creates hope. And hope does not disappoint us. For hope creates strong shoulders for our children to stand upon. Thank you so much.
Amen.
I second that. Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much, Reverend David. And thank you so much, Roxana. Guys are doing amazing and fantastic work. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're running behind a little bit of time here, guys. So we're going to go through this. Remember the passing of the basket is in the chat. So please do support Power as an individual member or as a congregation. Next up, we have Matco. And Matco, anybody who is the original member of Matco a power, put your hands, your thumbs up. And if you hear representing Mako, put your thumbs up. Mako actually manages more than 6,000 acres of public open space, which includes 9 parks, 5 historic sites, and over 60 miles of regional trail. So to give us the Mako update is Marlene and Trinita. Did I pronounce your name right? I hope I did. Trinita. Yay, go for it.
Yes, you did good.
All right. All right, go for it, guys.
Could we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so after attending the Metro Founding Convention, we decided to begin a campaign on community engagement centered around education funding. And we built this by doing one-to-ones with individuals. We did meetings and trainings with civic groups, our clergy, congregations, and you can see the civic groups listed, NAACP, YWCA, school district, and others. And then we also engaged our legislators and we met with them. They co-sponsored or sponsored education bills. And we kept pressuring them to also be champions for education funding. And then we moved on to our rallies. And I don't have this listed, but in 2018 at that rally, I was on the floor of the rotunda with a legislator who had signed on to our fair funding bill. And he said, well, I signed on, but this will never go anywhere. And I said to him, well, let me set a picture for you. We started with 8 people on the steps of this rotunda praying for education funding. And from there, we've built to this year in 2018, when we had about 300. And the next year in 2019, we had about 1,300 people. So I told him, we're not going anywhere. You will see us back here every single year fighting for justice for our children, because they all deserve equal opportunity for a quality education. In 2019, from Pottstown and the Pottstown area, we filled three buses. And on those buses were people from our community, our clergy, our civic groups. And then in June of 21st of 2021, as John Barnett said, we had our rally in Pottstown. And that was the way overdue rally, where it showed how much cumulatively over years, Pottstown had been underfunded. We were underfunded about $13 million a year. And cumulatively over that time, it turned out to be about $65 million or more that we were underfunded. And so we targeted Senator Bob Mensch because he is our state senator. And over years in the past, he had gotten us some money. He's secured $1 million here, $1 million there. But he still was not urgent about fixing the problem. So he was very aggrieved by this, that we would have the audacity to target him when he thought helped us a great deal. So he was so upset that he called our superintendent, and our superintendent said, well, maybe you need to meet with our community members and hear from them as to why they feel you're not doing enough. And so we had that meeting where about 17 people, and we had our civic groups, clergy, school district, power were there. And after he talked to us for 20 minutes about why he was so upset with us, we let him know why we're upset with him. That he has no urgency, that he hasn't done anything to fix the problem with the underfunding for our children. He told us that we suggested a town hall for him to explain. He told us that Pottstown people are hard to talk to. I let him know that when I go door to door in Pottstown, what our people want, when they tell me what they want, is they just want it better for their children. They just want it better than it was for them, so that their children have a future. So since he said he would not hold the town hall, we asked him about a public hearing on education funding in the Senate Education Committee. And so he agreed to that. We kept calling his office, emailing his office to see what the progress was. And a date was set for that hearing. And then we found out that the hearing was postponed because the lawsuit trial was going on education funding. We let him know that a postponement is not a cancellation. And we fully expect him to keep his promise, keep his word, and see that this hearing was held. And so that's where we are right now. We are waiting to hear from him, his office. We keep calling, emailing, pressuring him to fulfill his promise as an elected official to the stakeholders and the parents and children of not only our community, but all children in Pennsylvania. Thank you.
So, well, hello, everybody. Hello. If you know me, I'm Trinita, and here's my pom-poms. Yeah! I carry these pom-poms with me everywhere I go to when we do power. I'm Trinita Lindsay. I am a councilwoman for Pottstown, and I'm going to give you a little brief how I got involved with power. So when I bought my house in Pottstown in 2016, I was all excited, got me a house in Pottstown. I'm all excited. So, everything, the dust settled, the enjoyment of getting a house. And I was reading over the paperwork because, the paperwork is like this thick. So I'm like going through the papers and I read the tax. And the school taxes was high. So I'm like, I got to do something. So 2016, April, I bought my house. June, I was at the council meeting trying to see what I can get involved in help them. Like I'm Superwoman. I can cure the taxes in Pottstown. So then Marlene seen me at the council meeting and she knew it was a new face there. So she said, "Hi, my name is Marlene Amato and I am, I just, I see you new here." So she asked me, how I was doing and why I was there. And I said, I told her it was because of my taxes. And she said, "Oh, I got something. You want to get involved? I got something for you to see. I got something for you to see." So she invited me to NAACP had their meeting at the Ricker Center in Pottstown. And that's when I seen the PowerPoint video about how racially that racism is still here with these kids and these babies in the schools. And then it just went from there. She guided me and then I went to my first Harrisburg power protest and it was amazing. And then I was like, I gotta go for school board. And then my council person resigned and she suggested I go up for council. And I was like, no, I want to do school board. She was like, no, go try council. If you don't get it, you don't get it. At least your name is out there. Sure enough, I got it. and then it just took it from there. And it has been a ride and it's baby steps. But let me tell you, they know us because like Marlene said, Pottstown went there with 3 bus loads. It was amazing. I did Marlene's job, but if y'all went through the breakout session, I told them about how Marlene took us on the first time and she made it seem so easy. She was like, you go here, you're going to talk to this senator, you're going to talk to this state rep. She was coaching us on the bus. You're going to say this is what you're going to talk about. Then I get to do it. With the 3 buses, it took 2 of us to do Marlene's one job. Just saying, I'm just telling you, it took 2 of us to do Marlene's one job. But we went down there and it was 3 bus loads and we took over the rotunda. We took over. It was packed there. And it was amazing. Like it was good to see everybody there and the kids talk about their schools and everything. And it's just been a ride for me. And I'm just blessed and glad that I'm a part of power and all you people. And thank you for coming out on, doing our Zoom here on a Sunday. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Pom poms up. All right. Thank you so much. Oh, that was so exciting. A postponement is not a cancellation. Woo! And power pom poms. Yes. All right. All right. So, guys, now we have our dance break. So let's just, wherever you are, you want to just dance in your chairs, that's fine. You want to get up and move because some of us have to move. So wherever you are, just dance. And so we'll be back in about 3.5 minutes. So dance break time. Let the music begin. Dance. It's coming, y'all. Woo-hoo, look at y'all go.
everybody. That's exactly how I envisioned it.
All right. All right. Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Woo. Okay. We're settled in now. We're good. Yes. So, future, where we're going. Bishop Forster will come and lead us into that. Where are we going? So let's give a big welcome and love for Bishop Forster. Woohoo! Yay! Yay!
Hello, so I can shout.
Yay!
Go, Bishop!
It is really, really cool to be here with you all today. And I thank you, Reverend Pinckney. I think you and Liz Brunton had a dance contest going on because both of you all were going for it. And I saw Jennifer jumping in there as well. Really trying to get down. And then Mark and Mark's dog were doing a thing. They were working it. I was like, all right, y'all. It was absolutely wonderful to be able to see that. And any good revival, there's good music and there's good movement at the same time, dancing and folks shouting and enjoying themselves. And so grateful to be here today. I just want to thank you all for the invitation to come and share with you today. I'm not going to be long. I want to shout out my colleagues, Will Fuller and Reverend Angela Van Brown, for their leadership and work that they've been working on in this area. But first, I because this is revival, I need to just do a couple of acknowledgments. So first of all, I saw one of my professors when I was a student at Eastern Baptist Theological Seminary in the room, which is going back a long time ago. Dr. James Pollard is in the house, and so I saw him. I wanted to acknowledge Dr. Pollard in his leadership. Colleague and friend, the Reverend David Tackenhorst, who also happens to be on our board, and Marlene Amato, who's on our board as well. I just appreciate both of you and your leadership. I go back a ways with Liz Brunton, and I go back to Lutheran Theological Seminary. I started at Eastern Baptist, but I finished at Lutheran, well now Urban Lutheran, United Lutheran Seminary. I keep forgetting the name. I just know it as LTSP. And then I saw Dwayne Mosier, and I sent him a message online. I don't know if he saw it or not, but Dwayne and I are both UCC clergy, and I said both of us have now grown in gray beards. So it was a thing to see that going back so many years. It's exciting to be here with you because I was at the first Metro convention and spent some time away and came back. And let me just say, there's a plethora of you that I've known throughout the years. I see and deeply appreciate and love. And you always get in trouble when you start calling names because then you forget somebody. And so forgive me. Hold it to my head, not my heart, that if I did not acknowledge you at this time, but wanted to get that in. But I'm excited because as I mentioned in my small group earlier, as I was watching the videos and listening to the PowerPoint and the testimonies being told, I almost wanted to cry. Because I remember the early days of trying to get this together and trying to pull the pieces together and getting the founding convention together. And my biggest memory of the founding convention, if I could be honest with you, was not the founding convention. The biggest memory of the founding convention was the next day when Senator Dalen Leach's chief of staff called me and attempted to cuss me out because we had sent him a bunch of tweets and text because he didn't show up to our meeting and we let him know how unsatisfied we were. There's a principle in organizing says that the action is in the reaction. And the fact that they recognized in that moment in time that there would never be another power event that they wouldn't show up to, that we had demonstrated power and we were moving an agenda around education even at that moment in time. And so I love the history of Metro. I love to hear where we've come from. I love to see all these different points. It's Bucks and it's Pottstown, it's Main Line. There's Norristown still getting engaged. There's Chester County that's out there. And just recognizing that altogether, the Metro region is 2.5 million people. I don't think we often think of the Metro in that way, but it's 2.5 million people. It's bigger than Philadelphia. And so we should have a deep understanding of that. Now, I have deep love for Metro. And part of this, although I was born and raised a Philadelphian, I came of age in Montgomery County. I bought a house in Montgomery County. My eldest daughter graduated from Norristown Area High School, and we had lived in Upper Gwinnett for a little bit before that. We lived there for a very long time. I was a councilman in Norristown, in the municipality of Norristown. I served as on the council there. And so I've got deep love for what happens in the metro region. I was shaped by what happens in the metro region, and I care deeply about it. And there's a couple of things that I've learned throughout the years that have become important, because there's a story told about Pennsylvania that basically there's Philadelphia and there's Pittsburgh, and everything in between is either Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania, or whatever you want to call it. But here's the thing that I've learned in living in these different places. The people across Pennsylvania all want the exact same thing. They don't want anything differently from one another. They want to be able to live in good neighborhoods. They want to be able to go to bed at night feeling comfortable and safe. They want to make sure that their kids get the best quality education possible. They want to make sure that their work has meaning and is relevant, and that it actually has substance and sustenance to provide for them. They want to make sure that the wages that they are earning are decent and reasonable, and that they're actually able to go about their tithe. They want to be able to have access to good health care. They want to make sure that the public safety system that is in their community works for them and not against them and not on them. These are the same things, whether you live in Upper Gwinnett, or you live in Pottstown, or you live in Reading, or you live in Westchester, or you live in Trevose, or you live in various aspects or areas of the metro area. There is an alignment with what people want. But there's a story being told that is attempting to separate us and say, you're not like those folk from Philly. You're different, you're special, you're better than them. We've actually had representatives, when our leaders went in to go meet with them, that basically tried to tell them that you were better than those people in Philadelphia. But the thing that we learned about this is that it's not only that they're telling the story about Philadelphia, but there are folk in Lancaster trying to tell the story about you. That we're not like all those folk that are in the southeastern part of the state. We're the central people, and we're different. Or you go up into the Lehigh Valley, we're not like those people up there. But the reality is that we're all the same people. And if I could lean on my faith here for a minute, from my faith tradition that tells me that we are all created in the image and likeness of God, that we are all siblings in this journey together, and that together it is up to us to tell the story about Pennsylvania that we want. A Pennsylvania where we should see color, we should see ethnicity, we should see all these things, and we should be able to say, it is beautiful and marvelous in our sight. After all, nobody, well, some people might, but most people don't want to eat the same thing every day. I want to be able to have an empanada one day, and be able to go have a sushi the next day, and be able to go have some injera bread the next day, and be able to sit down and have a cheesesteak the next day, and be able to have a pretzel the next day, and have shoe pie another day. Why? Because all those things are beautiful. And when we bring all these things together, it enhances our experience. We are able to come together and understand that we are a gift to one another, and that our journeys together are absolutely important for us to learn and not stay siloed, but to engage one another and take the risk of reaching out, and take the risk of reaching out, and take the risk of reaching out and beyond ourselves to see that person whom is created just like me. To be able to feel their journey from their story. To be able to fall in love with somebody whose experience has not been mine. And to find a way for us to ally together and to encourage each other. We are people of faith and moral courage. And in many ways in our work, we are asking and answering this deep ontological question about the state of our being. And the reality is that we are human and that we are siblings and that we are called to be agents of transformation and change in a world that has gone mad. We have been called in this moment not to be satisfied with the status quo, because when we see it and that it's not working for our siblings, and if we were to be really honest, it's not working for most of us, that we would rise up together, unite with one another, hold each other's hands, grasp each other by the elbows, lock arms together, and march towards victory, whether it's to the ballot box, or whether we're marching to the state capitol, or whether we're marching to our municipal town halls, or whether we're marching in Washington, D.C., but that we are coming together in powerful ways to demand that the world be better than what it is. And we are never satisfied with what is right in front of us, because it's not enough. There is enough out there, but what we're being given is not enough. That there's no such thing as scarcity. It's just that we've got to learn to share with one another and not allow other people to try to move us so that we turn on each other and hate each other in the process, so that we can be people of racial and economic justice on a livable planet where we all have water to drink, air to breathe, quality education, good public safety, housing that we can live in, decent wages, benefits that make a difference in our lives, access to healthcare that's actually transformative for our communities. And so we continue our work to speak to the deepest desire. But the main thing that I've discovered that most people want, and somebody mentioned this earlier, is that we want our children to be able to thrive. Most of us have admitted that, as we get older, especially those of us that have some gray in our beards and our hair, that we might not fully see the world the way that we want it to be, but maybe we can get it there for our children. But right now, in this moment, Pennsylvania has failed our kids. And people would have you think that this is just about Philadelphia, but I know Norristown's owed money. I know Pottstown's owed money. I know Lancaster's owed money. I know Allentown School District is owed money. I know North Penn School District is owed money. There are Reading School, they're all owed money. That those of us who are taxpayers in the state of Pennsylvania, that there has been, we have been taken advantage of, and our money has not been given back to us in the way that it's supposed to be. And we need, in this particular moment, to demand that the state of Pennsylvania do better, to hold our politicians accountable. And if we can't get what we want, then we need to elect our own. Amen, Councilwoman Trinita. Amen, Councilwoman Trinita. Let me say that again. Amen. This is not the last stop for you along the way. If we can't get the folk in who are going to do what we want them to do, then we as a movement got to get our own folk to run for office so that we can change the system and make it work for us in the best way that we can. That's the work that's ahead of us right now. That's the transformation and change. We can't always depend on other people to make it for us. Sometimes we got to go take it and do it ourselves. Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. And so we need to go and push forward and create some change. I'm going to quote the venerable master of the Force, Yoda, who says, "Don't try, do. Don't try, do." And Metro, you have been doing the work over these last few years about racial and economic justice on a livable planet in our arena. Yes, Reverend Brown, we are the ones that we have been waiting for. Don't try, do, continue to fight, and to continue to do the hard work, to continue to work through our racial issues that we've still got to make a difference, and continue to work through our misogyny and our paternalism that we still got to fight to be able to work through. We need to work through Islamophobia and anti-Semitism and racism and all the isms that are preventing preventing us from coming together. We've got to continue working on all those things. But in the meantime, don't try, do. Go do it. Go make the change. Go demand the things that we need from our senators and our representatives, and make sure that they understand full well that when you are coming, it's not just you coming by yourself, but there is an army of people of faith and moral courage who are standing with you in that moment, even if they're not in the room with you at that time. But when you say that you are from Power Metro, when you say that you are a part of Power Interfaith, when you say that you are a part of Power, people will know that you have come with the tens of thousands, not just the thousands, that you are coming more than just with 10 people or 100 people, but that you are coming with the force of the divine and people of moral courage to say that we want a better world and that we elected you to give it to us. So in this moment, you have a chance right now to be able to do something. And this harkens back to our very first meeting that we had as a founding convention. If we could bring the slide up for a moment, you have this moment right now to be able to do something, to own your power and to make a demand. And so we want to go after Senator Scott Martin, who's the chair of the Education Committee in the Senate. Senator Minch, who is in Pottstown, has said he's going to work to make sure that we get a hearing on fair funding. Scott Martin, who actually is also in our area of our Lancaster folk, has been holding this process up. And so we need to let Senator Martin know right now that we're not taking this anymore. So there's two things you can do. One, you can tweet at him at Senator Martin, PA. And there's a sample up on the screen. We're going to hold this up here so you can make sure you write this down. But you can send a tweet at Senator Martin, PA right now. The other thing that you can do is call and leave a message on his office, 717-787-6535 or 717-397-1309. Now, let me just tell you this. This is what got Senator Leach upset with us before, right? That we got a reaction from him because we tweeted at him and called his office until the point that he called us and said, I need to meet with you and your people so we can have a conversation. Well, we need Scott Martin to respond right now. And so we need that for you to right now either call or tweet, or guess what? You can do both. You can do both. So that John Barnett and Marlene D'Amato can work with Senator Martin's office to get that meeting that we need to work with him to find out when we're actually going to get our hearing on fair funding. Now we need that meeting now. The court case is getting ready to end, so we need that meeting right now to talk about what's happening. So let them know. Tweet at them right now at Senator Martin, PA, or call 717-787-6535 or 717-397-1309. Let them know that you are from Power Interfaith and that you are what your expectations of him are. And he might say, well, you're not in my area. Well, then don't chair the committee. You got to have a quick comeback, right? If you're going to chair a state committee, then you have to be prepared for people from around the state to respond to you and have expectations of you. And so let it ring. If I see somebody said, call the other number. If you can, tweet at them right now. Let them know what's going on at this particular moment. But leave him a very clear message that you have expectations of what it is he needs to do for your children. Can you be a mama bear in this moment? I don't care if you're a man or a woman. You can be a mama bear at this moment and protect your cubs. You might be the godmama bear or the auntie or whatever, the Kool-Aid mom down the street. But can you in this moment fight for your kids? And let them know that you will be relentless in making sure that our children get the funding that they need. I want to thank you for letting me come and share just a little bit. I want to celebrate you all. Thank you all for your leadership, for the work that you're doing, for the powerful ways that you're continuing to show up. Let's keep going, y'all, and let's see what the end's going to be. God bless you. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Bishop. Thank you for that powerful message. Amen. I'm tweeting now. Everyone you got your phone, you got the numbers, you got a call, you're tweeting. I'm tweeting. Tweeting is good for me. Let's tweet, call, like Like Will says, let it ring. Let it ring. Because we are protecting our children. We are taking care of our children. And it is the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do. I know that we are behind time, but I'm going to ask if it's okay with you all. And revival sometimes take a little while because we got to make sure that everybody's okay. Got to make sure that everybody is well, and got to make sure that everybody has the tasks that they need to do to make sure that we do the things that our faith is leading us to do, which is the right thing. So if you could give us maybe 15, 20 more minutes of your time, we will be through soon. But we want to make sure that we do this work because this work is important. So again, make sure that you get the information that is still up on the screen, that you will be able to tweet Senator Martin or make phone calls. Do that now for us. Do that now for the children. Do that now because it is right. It is right. We are going to get ready to go into breakout rooms. And again, one more thing, support power. Your financial funding is necessary. Support power in any way you can, as an individual member, as a congregation, because there is great work to do in this great state of Pennsylvania. Amen. Let's go. All right. All right. We are ready for our breakout rooms. Questions will be in the chat. You can join now. Thank you.
Oh, Ashley.
Hey, Larry, I have a feeling we're gonna get, we've got a few more. It looks like we've got Elise and Holly and Ginger that we're waiting on.
Must have some other kind of access that I do.
Yeah, my co-host, so.
So I tried, I'm not a tweeter. I have an account, but I tried that and it said that I wasn't allowed to tweet the senator.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, maybe I did something wrong, which is highly likely.
No, well, listen, I just called in and it took me 10 rings to get to a voicemail, which is completely outrageous.
Yeah, mine was the same.
I'm with you. I don't even have a Twitter, so it's not a thing I do.
Right.
It's interesting to me that the call took 10 rings to get to a voicemail. I think that's very purposeful, right?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
That's so I called the second number and just let it ring, like we'll put into the chat box.
Okay, so wait a second. You're from Gladwin Presbyterian. So is
Yeah.
Todd Stavrakos your pastor?
Yes, he is.
Oh, that jerk. I'll tell you. You tell him I'm mad at him for not joining this call today because I invited him specifically to
sure.
join this call.
He and Mark have been doing a good job of publicizing it in the congregation. So we actually had 7 people logged on at one point in time out of our little congregation. We get 35 people in the pews. We're lucky.
Oh gosh.
So that's not a bad percentage.
That's phenomenal, Larry. That's amazing.
And Todd was not one of those 7. That's you're right. Absolutely.
That's fine. I'm going to give him so much grief, and you go ahead and give him grief, and we'll do it together. It'll be our mutual task, Larry.
If he can dish it out, he can take it.
That he dishes it like a champion.
Yeah.
He can take it. Absolutely. So you deal with that social justice warrior as your pastor then. So that must mean that you're pretty socially justice oriented yourself.
My daughter got me involved in this power stuff several years ago because she was a Philadelphia school teacher. And she moved on and is still a teacher in Berks County. But so I was on the Delco. I was on the Power Delco education team for a little while. And I guess I got disillusioned when it was looking good that the budget was going to at least partially correct some of the inequities. And then there was enough money that, to create a level playing field. And then the whole thing gets put into a slush fund. So. And this is not just the first time. I mean, this is year after year after year. It's been 4 or 5 years. All of the same happy horseshit has been happening. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law was a Philadelphia school teacher, and that was the first time I had heard the horror stories of all the money that teachers would individually put into each classroom, and I just couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it.
Yeah, my daughter, first year that she taught in the city of Philadelphia, spent $700 on materials, and you had to provide your own copy paper. So I would buy her a case of copy paper at Staples or whatever, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, so she could make, because once again, not everybody had a textbook. Not everybody had the books that they needed, so she'd make the copies so that they have the materials.
It's absolutely bananas to me.
It's
bananas to me that there are school districts that are teaching from books that were printed in the 80s. I mean, my God. History books that end with, President Reagan. This is reality for some of our school districts. Or President Clinton even,
Yeah.
So, it's crazy too. Like my kids go to Abington School District. I don't know if you're familiar with Maggie. Thank you. I'm getting a spray down as we chat.
Oh, is that right? There you go. Just wants to comb your hair or brush your hair. That's nice.
I mean, when the girl's got to get her beauty fix in. So my kids go to Abington School District, which is a pretty well-funded school district, but we are still underfunded, which is something I would have never known. And it frustrates me because, every kid should have what they deserve. So
yeah, exactly. Well, those then, I mean, you're pretty well funded. It's like Lower Merion. Lower Merion is just slightly underfunded, but it puts the pressure on local taxes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So your daughter's teaching in Berks now, you said?
Yeah, she's teaching in Berks County. She just actually switched from Exeter School District to O&J Roberts. I think O&J Roberts is still in Berks.
Okay.
It may be in Chester. I don't know.
And what grade level does she teach?
She's a special ed teacher, elementary.
Okay. Okay.
So she gets a range of ages and students.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
not easy.
No, it's not. And I learned that the special ed budget is essentially a separate budget.
Mm.
It doesn't, although it falls under the general, right? It's a sub budget underneath that. And so it's even worse funded.
Mm.
That's the problem.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, Wolf had a lot of great proposals of what to do about it, and hopefully he'll be able to get some of it still implemented. But the other part was the cyber schools were sucking resources off per capita basis, which wasn't correct. So it's just all screwed up. In any case,
Really.
nice to hear a rousing speech from Royster.
Yes, Bishop Dwayne is never short of a rousing speech. He always has one ready. I'll tell you what, I appreciate your daughter and I appreciate teachers so much, especially since the pandemic started. We at our house have been trying very hard to be extra nice to our teachers because I can't imagine the strain and stress that they've been under, and that they've kept our kids pretty much up to gear in the midst of this is absolutely amazing. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah, well, I was hearing it from my daughter, believe me.
Tell her thank you from all of us. We appreciate her.
How
Well,
old's
it's good to meet
Megan?
you, Larry.
Nice to meet you too.
Take care.
Megan.
Give Todd
Bye.
some crap for me. Thanks. Bye.
Bill?
Yeah.
Hey.
Wow, I'll feel bad for you.
Hey, Will. Hey, hey. It's good to see y'all. All right, we'll give a little bit for folks to come back in. I know that the groups are starting to close now.
It's every time. I'm mid-sentence.
Every time.
I was just gonna say that it's so abrupt when it closes, even though we have the warning.
You got beamed up. You got beamed up into the collective. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging with us for a little while longer. I promise I won't keep you much later. But we wanted to talk a little bit about the future, right? So part of revival is to celebrate where we've been and be clear about where we've been. Part of revival is to fill us in on where we're at right now, but I want to talk a little bit about where we could be headed together. So I think I've met most of you all, but for those of you who I haven't met, my name is Will Fuller. I am the regional director for Metro. And so I'm working with your organizers and leaders on the ground to do the work of organizing in the 4 counties around Philadelphia. So what I'd like to do today, just for the brief time that we have left, is to really lay out a path toward power for us as an organization for not just the coming year, but for the next 5 years, right? So we have this vision, if we could go to the next slide, of who we could be. And I really believe that in the next 5 years, that we could potentially become the most powerful force in the Pennsylvania suburbs. And I'm not just talking about organizing. I'm talking about if we walk into rooms, if we take stands on issues, if we're clear that we're for something or against something, that really elected officials in our area have to come through us if they're going to set any kind of agenda. I really believe that with Power Metro, that we can actually become a new governing coalition in each individual county around Philadelphia, but not just that, that we can move the state. Because we know, Bishop laid it out, 1/6 of the state of Pennsylvania lives in this region. All the economic prosperity that we see across the board in different parts of the state, a lot of that is driven in our counties, in company headquarters, right? So we have an immense amount of power and influence. And I truly believe that if we build on that, if we organize well, that by 2026, 2027, we could actually become the most powerful force for good and for justice out here. So what I'm going to propose today is a path toward us actually getting there, starting this year. So if you could show the next slide for us, Krista. I drew this beautiful drawing on Google Slides, and I'm really proud of it, to give you all a glimpse into the direction that we're headed in the coming year. So if you'll notice the highlighted part on the left, that's where we're at today. This is a major peak for our organization, right? This Power Metro Revival, where we've had 60 plus people join from all over the region, hear what we're up to, see one another, virtually hug, and reconnect, right? But this is a jumping off point, right? This is not an end, this is a beginning. And this year is going to be one of the most challenging years that we've ever seen, right? So we need to be powerful in order to meet the challenges that we're facing. And so what I'm proposing essentially is a two-phase step this year toward building power that will ultimately culminate in another major peak in October of this year, when we all actually gather together again for a refounding of Power Metro itself. So I'm going to lay out really quickly for you how I think we could do that. And then we're going to wrap up, and then we're going to talk about what we're going to do next. So this first phase right here at the bottom, it says build relationships, build teams, and fight for fair funding. If we could go to the next slide, I want to flesh that out a little bit more for us. In that section, what I'm talking about is, first of all, doing some one-to-ones, right? You hear us talk all the time in organizing about how if you're in doubt, if you want to build power, power is a product of relationship. Do a one-to-one. Hopefully, you've seen some faces today that you haven't connected with in a while. Hopefully, you've met some new people that you're really curious about, right? The work of organizing is done best in the context of one-to-one meetings. So in this phase post-revival, what we're inviting everyone into is a season of relationship building, a season of getting to know each other again, of talking about what is a one-to-one, why is it so essential to our work? Why are we supposed to do them? Why is it necessary for us to do them? To get trained on them, to train other people on how to do one-to-one meetings in the context of organizing. And then to make some invitations, right? Because ultimately, we don't want this just to be a feel-good thing that we do, and then we walk away and we don't actually commit toward the kind of beloved community that we want to build, right? That kind of community is going to take more than just revivals. It's going to take power. And so what we want to do in this phase coming up is to give people some invitations to step forward and to build some teams across the board within Power Metro. We want to build a team that's steering Power Metro, a steering committee. We want to build a team of faith leaders who are really holding what it means to be people of faith, what it means to do justice work, and how to do that well in the counties and beyond. We want to build power teams in each congregation full of experts on our issues that are engaging people, doing trainings, helping run our civic engagement campaigns. We want to train people up in those skills and equip them to do the work that they feel called to do. And lastly, as we mentioned before, this is one of the biggest pushes that we've ever seen for 100% fair funding, right? The governor just came out with his newest budget proposal not a week and a half ago. It was ambitious. There's a lot of money there for fair funding. We with Power, we're fully supporting that, while also making the cry out that 100% fair funding is our goal, right? It's not enough to get to less than 100. We need 100% fair funding because we know what that means for our kids. So we're doing some actions to support that budget and fair funding legislation. We're continuing to push for a hearing. Once the budget has been decided upon, we'll push for legislation in the House and in the Senate. That's going to be phase one. We can go to the next slide. So after we build those relationships and we start making invitations, this next phase from the summer into the fall is a strengthening time. It's time for us to actually convene these teams, to meet one another, to talk about what we're going to do to build toward this power that we want to be able to change the communities that we live in, right? So the vision is in the summer and beyond, we have teams of leaders meeting across Power Metro once, twice, 3 times a week, different people connecting with each other all across the region for shared ideas, for training, for coordinating actions, getting reactions together, so that we're all being built up. We're all being trained. We're all being clear about our self-interest together, and we're all doing powerful work. And then, of course, as you guys know, we're in an election year. And so one of the things that we feel led to do and called to do it as an organization is to engage voters, deep, meaningful, relational, faith-rooted civic engagement. What does it mean to be a person of faith? How does our faith show up in the public arena with the things we vote for, the policies that we uphold, the people we elect, right? And to anchor that in our congregations as hubs of civic engagement with our community. All of those things will be going on from the summer on into the fall to build up to what I hope will be a major, major point for our organization, which is a refounding convention. So if you could go to the next slide, please. The dream is in October, Lord willing, if numbers are down and things are safer, that we have an in-person convention of Power Metro, that we have 20 official congregations showing up in person at this convention, crying out, we're going to be a part of Power Metro. We're joining. We're ready to jump in. We're all in. We've organized the Power team. We've turned out people to this event, and we're here to publicly declare that we're throwing down with you guys, that we are Power Metro, that Power Metro is not something outside of us, but it's actually something that's within us. Where we formally announce our steering committee, Faith Leaders Caucus, where we have people stand up, where we do actions probably around civic engagement, and we really commit together, recommit together to the work going forward in 2022 and beyond. So that's the proposal. That's the path toward having little p power for us with Power Metro. I'm really excited about this because I think it's really clear. And I think that if we do this, then we can start to see beloved community happen in our communities. That we can start to see education funding equity become a reality. That we can start to see these changes that we are aspiring for, hoping for, get fleshed out, not through living in the world as it should be, but through operating in the world as it is, where organized people rooted in faith can always make change, because that's always how change gets made. So I want to invite you to consider thinking about where you are in this suggestion, in this path. Where do you see yourself? Could you bring other people with you to a training? Could you build a power team in your congregation? Could you get involved with fair funding, with climate justice, with civic engagement? There's room for all in this because we need everybody. If we're going to build the kind of world that we want to build, we can't leave anybody behind. And we want you to be a part of this with us together. So going forward from this revival today, I just want to let you know that myself and our planning team, that some of us will be in touch with you afterward to talk with you about where you see yourself in this and how you want to get engaged deeper in the work going forward of justice. So with that, I want to just publicly recognize the people who put this thing together for you today, because this was a group effort from start to finish. It wasn't just one of us. It was a great group of people that worked really hard to make today possible. So if we go to the next slide, I just want to throw their names up. If we could just throw some jazz hands or a party emoji, shout them out in the chat. These are the folks that worked together to make this possible. Liz, Reverend Bill, Marlene, John, Reverend Ashley, Mark, and so many more, right? Krista Kerber, our development director, was holding down our tech all day long, which y'all know is not an easy job. So I want to shout her out as well. This is what we want to do, right? This kind of feeling that we have right now, this energy, this enthusiasm, this sense of interconnectedness, this is what organizing is about. This is what's possible. And again, we want to revive ourselves, right? We want to invite you in to take a step forward together with us in 2022 so that we can be the most powerful force in the Pennsylvania suburbs. And so that we can bring about justice, which we know Dr. King told us that justice is just what love looks like in public. So I challenge you today, think about who you love in this room, in this Zoom room and beyond, in your community, and let's fight for them together, right? Because we're always stronger when we fight together. And we have a clear path toward doing that in the coming year with power. So thank you so much. Appreciate you all being here. Very grateful. And I'm going to turn it back over to Reverend Jackie to close this out.
Thank you, Will. All right. It is that time, all faces up. Thank you all for being here today. And so we're at the point of our benediction. And it's an interfaith benediction by Gary Kowalski. Gathered in our varied faiths, we give thanks for the blessings of world community as we share our common dream. Homes and schools where children thrive, neighborhoods that are safe and clean, a city rich in colors and cultures, an economy where no one is expendable, a beloved community where rich and poor alike have success to the opportunity for a dignified and productive life. Churches, mosques, synagogues, and temples, where our deepest hope is to be of service to a hurting world. Enable us as we leave this place to carry forth this prayer into the coming week, turning our thoughts toward charity, our hearts towards justice, and our hands towards the work of peace. Shalom, amen, may it be so. Have a great evening, y'all. Party hard. Can we play the music going out? Yes.
The outro.
Here's that song again.
Don't
You're
forget it.
welcome. Thanks,
Amen.
Bill.
Thanks, everybody. We
Love
will
it.
be in touch. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Harvest for the world. We're all about.
Good job, Jackie. Good job, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. It's wine time. It's 1 o'clock.
Thank you, guys. Great job.
Yes, everybody did a wonderful job. Thank you so much.
Whoop, whoop.
Thank you all. And thank you all for coming who's left here. Krista,
Good to
thanks
see
so
all
much
you.
for your tech. And Ashley, I appreciate you so much. Everyone for jumping in to facilitate. And
Yeah, Norma's
just-
church hosted our founding. We got Norma Nish on the line from
okay,
Lutheran.
that's right. That's right. Amazing.
Cool.
Jackie,
All right.
thank you so much for your able emceeing. It was really, you were smooth as silk. I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It was fun. Thank you guys for having me. I will see you guys soon, and
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
we'll talk soon. Have a good evening, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Love you all.
Love you.